this one, so did you have a specific question or you just want to review it again? Group assignment 3. Did you have a specific question or you just want to go over what the assignment is?
For our feed rate,
okay. Anybody else having that problem? So mostly this side of the room, you guys just haven't started yet? So what's your procedure for finding feed rate? Go ahead. So you've got cutting force times spindle speed, and then divide that by 8. So divided by what? KP. And is that the equation everybody's using? So you're having that be equal to what? Feed rate? Right now, yeah, feed rate. All right. Is that the same equation everybody's been using? Yes, no? Like half of you said you have 2 high feed rates. All right, so what value are you using for C? Because in order to know what C is, you have to know what the feed rate is.
We were plugging them into one of them would match.
Okay, so what you were trying to do is you were trying to get the answer to converge. So when you have one equation and 2 unknowns, what you can do is you can guess that you know the answer to one of the unknowns. And C's got a pretty defined range, right? C goes from like 0.96 to 1.6, something like that. So if you pick either the bounds or the mean value of that, you plug it in and you calculate a feed rate. And so what are our units for FC? And for S, RPM. Rev per minute. For C, does that have units? No. So what are the units for feed? I'm going to log in and get the page from this Cheers able to go. Has anybody done this and gotten what they call a reasonable feed rate? What do you think is a high feed rate? 147. I'm going to go like a high feed rate. All right. Because if you said like 60, I would have said that's not a high feed rate, but it could have in your mind felt like a high feed rate. Well, inches, what's inches per minute? Yeah. Did I fully admit I did not work out the math of this problem before I assigned it to you? I was thinking of math that was possible. So has anybody solved it and gotten what they thought was a good answer? What's that?
What all the failures are.
Oh, so people who got the right answer just didn't come to class today. Any other questions for you now go over while this is working out? Anybody else? All right, so you got your equation. From somewhere right around here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're looking at power of the cut. So the power of the cut. Power of the cut equals AP C U W. Right? What's W? What number were we using for a factor? We assume that it was sharp, right? We can make W go away. All right. Now could C be equal to 1? It's between 0.96 and 1.6, right? So for now, let's make C go away. C can be equal to 1 also. We can plug it back in later. So really, we've got KP times Q equals PC, right? And power of the cut PC equals PC equals what? Force FC times surface speed, right? And what's our surface speed equal to? So PC equals, what's our RPM again? We said 6,000, right? 6,000. Pi over 12. What's our diameter? 0.375. And this is inches. This is inches per foot. This is per minute, right? Per minute. The inches go away, feet go on the top. So we get feet per minute, right? Feet per minute times what? Times FC. Okay, and we calculated FC? Yeah. What, give me a number for FC. 96. Let's look by 6,000. 6,000 divided by 12 times 3.4 times 5
times 496 or 96, right? So power equals 56 by 20. Is that a number? Did I do all the math right? So and that's power at the cut, two-sided. And so that equals KP times Q, right? And what's our KP for aluminum? 0.33. And so Q equals power divided by 0.33. Here, 0.33. And Q equals 7. What are the units here? What are the units for KP?
I'm not sure.
It's in the thing here. I don't remember off the top of my head.
Oh, we know it's higher.
Yeah, it says there's words too. Somewhere up here in the words, the current power constant, which is called unit horsepower, unit power, which is the power consumption. Power. Somebody's saying it. Say it louder. So it's the power required to cut one, but it's the power in what units? If we're using inch units, because we've got everything in inch units, right? Power required to move to a range called the unit horsepower. The unit power or the specific power consumption. So this equation here wants P to be in horsepower. But what units do we have P in here? Pounds foot pounds. Or seconds. So what's our conversion to make this horsepower? 550 or 32,000. Depends on the units we're using, right? 50 units is a P. So you want to make your power into horsepower. And if it's 32,000, that makes this like 2 instead of 56,000. If it's 500, it makes it good math there, right? Which will then change your Q, which will then change your cubic inches per. I think that's why you're getting giant your rates. You get this needs to be in horsepower. Does that keep it cleared up? So make sure that your units cancel. What's going to happen? In here it's math. Just a bunch of word problems. Yes, any other questions? And so
So it's possible that the data that I gave you isn't going to calculate a good value. And since I hadn't done the math before I assigned it to you, I don't actually know if that's true or not. So if you feel like at the end, after you've got all your numbers and you believe you got all the units correct and everything is right, if you believe that the numbers that you calculated are unreasonable, just say why. Okay? Because the experiment, so we've got a theory. We do an experiment to prove the theory. A valid result of our experiment is that the theory was wrong. Right? And so my theory was the data that I gave you would yield reasonable numbers. The experiment is I give you the data and I wait for the numbers you give me back. A valid result is I need to give you better data. Anybody else questions about wording on the exam questions, group project, anything else, life in general? There's a question on the exam that's identical to the question that was with A term. A term, nobody in the class got that answer. Of the, I don't know, 10, 20 people who submitted the exam so far, half of you guys got the right answer. So either you guys are smarter than everybody in the class in A term, or I was better at teaching this time. We really worried that that question was wrong, A term, and nobody in the class got the answer. No, I like the question. He puts a lazy slackers A term that didn't want to bother to do all the work. I'm not going to play this question. I'll just let you know that many of you got it right this time. There's A term. What up? Before the deadline for submitting them to the internet. Ish. The deadline's not actually a hard deadline. But by the end of the day that they're due on Internet, I guarantee that they will be completed. My intent is to have them completed by like Saturday morning. But things catch on fire. So I don't want to promise Saturday morning, but that's my intent. And there's some stuff, there's some outstanding grades for like a couple of CAMs are not completely graded, and I know the last group assignment 2 was not completely graded yet. That'll be fixed by tomorrow.
Yeah, by tomorrow night, we're hoping to have it all finished.
Yeah. It's on the syllabus, but I think. So, well, there's group. So, the first quiz was an individual exercise, and then there's group. All that after we formed the groups, then I told you to work on the quizzes together. I count those as group quizzes. So it's a combination. So the total there, 35 points, is from a combination of all those quizzes plus the exercise. And I did recently check to make sure the math, so that all the numbers added up correctly. And that's right. If for some reason I didn't assign you enough quiz questions, or I assigned you too many quiz questions, I will reweight the quizzes to match what the syllabus says. So the weighting will be what the syllabus says, even if I screwed up in the format.
I have a question related on question 30 of the exam.
Yes.
Well, I'm not sure what we're finding is a question of.
Let me open it up. Which one? So 30. Let me do that. I can blame, but it takes like 10 seconds to load that page. Back in the day, we would all have to walk over to the library. 10 seconds to load that page isn't that big a deal. All right, so you're given power at the motor. The machine tool is a lathe with a direct drive. Specific power is 0.63, so that's the kV, right? You've got Young's modulus for aluminum and for steel. Radial diameter is 1.25. Cutting tool is the 35-degree insert. So here, we want you to look up the correct depth of cut for that cutting tool. We'll have to combine stuff that we did in the lab. The surface speed is called 600. Right, so we've got an OD of 0.25, surface speed of 0.600. What's the deflection? An inch and a half from the chuck of the workpiece. So we tell you what the workpiece is. I'll make sure it goes correctly if you use either a steel workpiece or aluminum workpiece. But you got your chuck here, your workpiece here, your cutting force, this is 1.5, right? And so the deflection is that's what you're looking for. However, if you've already submitted it and you use the steel one, that's the right answer. You'll get the right answer. We should have told you which one of those to use. Okay, you're supposed to use steel or aluminum for this problem. It doesn't say. It's steel. So, yeah, but you gave me other modulus for aluminum and for steel. You didn't tell me what the further thing out. You read the question. It's all. Because I read the question several times, I didn't notice the problem. Yeah. Ah, no, I got it. It's in there. You have to figure it out. It's not necessarily aluminum. You have to figure it out. You have to figure it out from the specific power. From the specific power, you can figure out which alloy it is. There you go. Never mind, you didn't script the question. It was on purpose. Where do we find the page 1054 machinery handbook? Where you page 1054-ish machinery handbook. So it was the grade that I never thought to read that on the drop. Until I thought that we forgot to tell you what to do. So we were right. Yep. I have confirmation that the suspected wrong grading on one of the problems was not wrong. Anything else? Yes. Well,
is kind of personal question, but when I submitted the final, and then I went to review my results, it showed like all the multiple choice and if I did answer, and I got 0 on all of those.
Somebody
That's not
emailed,
good.
somebody, did you email me that?
Yeah.
Somebody emailed me that, it was you, and what I was gonna do was go look at yours and see what it was. But I followed through on that, but, no life is sufficient for you guys. No, I can probably expect to, especially if that's actually a problem. So I'll look at that specifically. Anybody else experienced that it showed that they didn't submit, they didn't answer any of the multiple guest questions? Okay. Maybe you can just slack it. I'll check it. You know me, so. Anybody else? Anything else? I'll just start. I said that before. Anybody taking either of my classes? 40, 15, and 30. That's just about it. I would say you really love the labs, and you really love working in the labs. Talk to your PLA, because we always are hiring new PLAs. Our goal there is to have a flow of new people through that system. So as you get to be a PLA, you actually get to well, learn more about it, because the more you teach something, the more well you know it. There's opportunities for other jobs to overlap as you do that. So if you're interested in doing that, even if you don't have time to do a B term, get yourself on the list, so we'll email you to do that every term. There's always new people coming in. And I don't know if I'm working with that group. Anybody else? Any questions? Concerns? Excellent. Yeah, how many of the things are about like the more basic that we learned like more than half are what I consider to be very easy multiple choice questions from throughout the class. Is that true? People that finished? Wait, is anybody in the room now finished the exam? Okay, so some of you. Could be that if you already finished the exam, you probably bother showing up. All right, but it was about half, maybe a little bit more than half were multiple choice, and probably not difficult. Many of the multiple choice questions, could I go through and see the statistics of the answers? I have 100% of people who would prefer the answer. Yes.
We have a really high code course, and we don't really know.
Check the units. This is question 3, right?
No, it's for
3%, 3. Check the units. I'm not 96 pounds seems to be a very low cutting force and the other example that it named it. So I told you to assume that the cutting force was the same, but if you take each one of those data points and calculate what the cutting force should have been, they're different. So pick which one you want to use. You may use one from the bottom end of the scale. I was maybe one. That's too many. Yeah. Check your units. 96 is in the range of what the cutting force could have been. Yeah. Yeah. 540. Yep. I thought 96 was pretty low, but it wasn't impossible. The cutting forces tend to be hundreds of pounds to a few thousand pound tops. We have to figure out that, that vice is holding the workpiece in place. And when your cutting force exceeds what it can do, especially when you take the vice, right? Should we be dividing or so the change in diameter is half of the deflection. let's try. So yes, there's a factor of 0.5. But I don't know if it's on the top or the bottom. Okay, so if we're right here, that's nominal, and that's actual. Okay, so my tool should have been like this. It was like that. So it's like yeah, so the change in diameter. So if this is 2 and this is 1, we've got a very flexible cutting tool. Right, for our diameter. But so our difference is 1 and the deflection amount is 0.5. Because it deflects on both sides. Anybody else? Excellent. Let's have some lunch. Probably not all together.